the day's activities, my favorite by far was being read in unison. Happy to have a body, and for you to have a body, for us both to be filled with blood. The mosquitoes must have loved it too, as they dropped in on us for dinner, the way that I used to do to you. Each of our passions was represented by a color, and we told each other the stories of our childhood dogs, who had since died or gone missing, though it was easier to imagine them sleeping in a patch of sunlight, eyes closed and dreaming, probably about eating us. Watching the eclipse through each other's parted fingers, hiding your present from you and hiding the present from you, while the sun illuminated your blood and the tiny bones in your fingers. Little sleeping dogs, resting, read in unison. I would leave my jeans in a pile on your floor, and then at night, when I would return from wherever I had gone, I would mistake them for a sleeping dog, sharing the space with us. One more set of footsteps. This is as much a portrait of you as it is a portrait of me. After sending pieces of our little bloody fingers to each other to be sautéed in butter, like two ships of Theseus passing in the night, until both are left in chewed up piles, strangers on either shore. Sitting down to write you a letter in the heat and humidity, I'm sitting in a cloud of mosquitoes, and they're dropping in for dinner the way you used to do, before we resorted to eating one another. 1,000 itchy little bumps. I stop mid-word to swat them away, and I lose my place. The future opens wide. While diving last winter, the floor of the pool bit me back, scraped my nose and forehead. When I got out, the first person looking at me was a veterinarian. And for a second I thought I had completed my transition and that I'd become a good boy, and it was starting to make sense. There's something to be said about a shallow pool seeming much deeper than it is, and finding out the hard way that it's dangerous to just dive in without checking first, applying significance and depth to objects and actions and images, and scraping your head on the bottom of them. We may have made 2 tall mountains out of the homes for those who are not actually blind, they just never had much use for sight. And we lived between these mountains in little chewed up piles until they eclipsed the sun, and the blood and bones illuminated in our little fingers. Considering my jeans, still sleeping in a little patch of sunlight, on your floor, crumpled up. They've been asleep for so long now. Neither of us wanted to wake them. Through changes in light and volume, still the dogs slept, probably dreaming of eating us. Little bloody chewed up messes. When we eventually lose our sight, we'll see the credits rolling. But for now, we're feigning blindness. I'm pretending I don't see it. I'm pretending I don't hear it. I'm pretending that the pool is much deeper than it appears. Reciting the list of rules, letting the dog continue to sleep. Thinking back to a time when I was pretending to be able to see, I let the car idle and I watched you from the rearview mirror, walking through a field of wildflowers, putting together a bouquet to take home. They had evolved to be beautiful to you, and when things are beautiful, they deserve to die. I never felt I had much use for the sunset. I never felt I had much use for flowers. I never felt I had much use for dogs. The last time I heard from you, you asked me if I was still awake. I told you that I am now and will always be. For now, I'm keeping my eyes covered. What's the one rule? No diving. What's the other rule? No dogs. What's the one rule? What's the other rule? 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 What's the one rule?